Who is that guy on the right?
Up-and-comer.
New to the game.
Trying to break onto the scene.
Yeah, which is important. He's trying to make a name for himself so that people know that he is no joke.
He could be a future Cedric Phillips right there.
You're right. You are right. He could be. He could be here in the booth, never playing Magic again. You're right. That is good old Gerry Thompson, your Pro Tour Amonkhet champion. You're reigning and defending Pro Tour champion, and he is here. 2-time Invitational champion, I believe 6-time Invitational top 8 competitor. The resume is vast for Gerry T, but Korey's no slouch either. These two very familiar with each other. If you watch the SCG Tour quite a bit, you're familiar with Korey McDuffie, an Atlanta player. He's a 2-time SCG Tour Open champion, and he loves the control deck more than most, as he's going to play a sleight of hand to kick things off here in round number 1. Death Shadow, the name of the game here, by the way, all day long.
Sleight of hand.
Yeah, so Ari Lax is a player who tweeted about this, and he basically said, I'm going to cut some of the worst cards and play as many cantrips as possible so that I can always find my best cards, which is what sleight of hand allows you to do. So that's why you see a couple copies for Korey, just 2. For Gerry, he's on a 4-color Death Shadow build. He's already fallen down to 16, so he's doing his job very well. What you're going to find here is a base Jund Death Shadow deck.
Yep.
Splashing Stubborn Denials out of the sideboard, and he's got some other bells and whistles that we might be able to get to at some point during this match. But Death Shadow, as we talked about in our pregame show, and I know that you and I have covered the last 2 modern opens here on the SCG Tour, it's really the deck to beat, right?
It is the deck to beat, and after GP Vegas, I think this is what we're seeing out of Gerry. It is a response to that event. We saw a lot of affinity decks do well. We didn't talk about it a whole lot, but these Hate Bears decks showed up in droves, and there was just Mirror and Crusaders running around like nobody's business. And when you've got Tarmogoyf, you're not nearly as scared of this card.
You can race it. You know, you can battle a little bit. I mean, they might have to slow down with it, as here's a Serum Visions from Korey, so he's going to draw a card. Picked up a copy of Snapcaster Mage, and now he'll scry too. Well, what's interesting is the response that we have seen to Death Shadow in Vegas, and if we'll see it here. Now, my prediction this weekend, and it's not really a lofty one, it's not, not that smart of one, but I think the best players are going to play Death Shadow this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that's just a simple strategy for them to go towards. They feel it's the best deck. I think the community feels it's the best deck, and the best players generally like to play the best deck. So to see Korey and Gerry playing this strategy, no surprise to me personally.
Yeah, it's not a shocker, and like I said, we see tweaks. We see responses to how people are approaching the deck. Gerry has the Tarfires back in the main. I think that it's obviously to get another card type into the graveyard when you've got Tarmogoyf and you've got Traverse the Uvenwald, but it's also so you can deal with cards like Mirror and Crusader.
Yeah, which is very, very nice because, as you mentioned, that card was running around Vegas quite a bit. It's kind of funny, actually, as I was working on my deck for Vegas, Ben Lundquist, the brilliant Benny Beatdowns, he gave me the idea of playing fairies.
Yep.
And I kind of latched on that pretty quickly. Ben's a very smart guy. He's very good with blue-black strategy, so I was like, you know what, I'm in. As Gerry's going to Tarfire himself. And Ben said, how do we beat Mirror Crusader? I was like, stop, no one's going to play that card. I was adamant that no one was going to play that card. I was adamantly wrong that no one was going to play that card. And I said, Ben, we don't have to worry about it. Who would play it besides Wesco? That's what I said. A lot of people played it besides Wesco, and it was very good in Vegas.
Yep.
So will we see them here this weekend? I don't know. But here's the Thoughtseize from Gerry, one of the most powerful cards in the format. And he's coming after Korey McDuffie. He's already down to 9. Korey's got 2 Death Shadows, a Thought Scour, a Dismember, a Tassiger, and a Snapcaster Mage. So his hand is very, very good.
It is a good hand. It's a little slow because he can't get those Death Shadows online right away. That's the real sticking point for him here.
Dismember is what Thompson will select, and now he will traverse the Uvenwald. Now, you got to remember for Gerry, you got to know your history here. We can look past the Pro Tour win and all the accomplishments as he's going to traverse with Delirium for Death Shadow. Grand Prix Vancouver, another tournament I was at and did not win at. My specialty, by the way. Gerry playing Death Shadow at that tournament. Josh Utter-Layton, soon to be Hall of Famer Josh Utter-Layton, won that tournament with a Jund Death Shadow deck that was actually splashing white for Lingering Souls and Ranger of Eos. Gerry playing the same deck. Gerry made the top 4 of that tournament. So this kind of 4-color version, very familiar with this deck is Gerry Thompson.
Yes.
Very familiar.
Yeah, and the versions with white they're just dated at this point, I guess.
I think so. I like the idea of Ranger, like you could traverse for Ranger and get more Death Shadows, so I get why they were doing that, and that was kind of version 1.
Yes.
I would say. But players have certainly moved past that and have found better builds.
Yeah, the deck has come a long way.
Yeah.
It was good back then.
Yeah.
And it's come a long way, and it's just so much better now.
We got a Thought Scour here from Korey McDuffie. A couple cards in the graveyard here. We know that this deck likes to load up the graveyard to be able to play Tasigur and Gurmag Angler on the cheap. And here comes, I think, the big 4/5. Yes, there is Tasigur. Now remember, Thompson's at 7, and most of the time, if you're new to Modern, you might think, oh man, his life total is very, very low. But the goal here is to make a large Death Shadow. Well, he's going to make it a really big Death Shadow as he's fallen down to 3. Here is Death Shadow. And now Gerry's going to pass the turn back. Now, here's what makes this fun.
Yes.
Modern is this kind of weird format, as we know. You think about Modern, you've been playing Modern a while.
Yes.
Modern for a very long time was the Lightning Bolt format.
Yep.
That's what, it was probably the best card in the format, right?
Defining card.
Yeah, like you had to play threats that were bigger than Lightning Bolt. You didn't want to get yourself too low to lose to Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster Lightning Bolt.
Yep.
So you wanted to stay above 6 a lot of the time. Now, screw it, I'm going to 3.
Well, and no one's playing Lightning Bolt because it doesn't kill a lot of the staple cards right now. It doesn't kill Death Shadow. It's not going to kill Termagoyfs. It's not going to kill the big Delve creatures. So why would you show up with Lightning Bolts in your deck?
Everyone's shown up with Fatal Push.
Yep.
And not Lightning Bolts. So it's funny, even though I didn't end up doing as well as I would have liked to with fairies, one of the things that was really nice was, you know how the Bitter Blossom clock is ticking down on you? You don't get bolted out anymore.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And Gerry is at that 3 life total. So if Korey did have a bolt, and I'm checking that deck list.
Nope.
We got any? None this weekend? Somebody, I think it was Tom Ross when we were covering Charlotte. He had like 1 bolt in his main deck of his Shadow deck. I think that got him a W with Snapcaster Mage. But nowadays, you take a look at Korey's deck list we have in front of us. No bolts there. I'm taking a look at Gerry's. He's got plenty of Starfires.
3 Starfires, no bolts.
No bolts. Bolt not good enough for either one of these players this weekend.
Korey does have a K command in his hand right now.
Okay.
So that's potentially a way for him to close out this game.
How low are you going to go, Gerry? How low are you willing to go?
But Gerry's obviously an accomplished magician, and he's going to be very, very aware that card exists in his opponent's deck.
It's very clear with what he was willing to do with that Dismember and go down to 3. He's basically saying, okay, the chances of you playing Lightning Bolt are very low.
Yep.
Basically, everyone's removed that card from their deck, and I'm not going to go to 2 unless I have to.
Well, with all the fetch lands in the decks, it's definitely a possibility that he ends up at 2. And it's interesting. He just turned on all of those Death Shadows in Korey's hand here.
Also true. Also true. Korey might be going to Snapcaster Mage now, and he is. That's going to resolve. And now McDuffie might be sacrificing that fetch land. I'm curious how much he's going to take from that fetch land, though.
Well, he's already in lethal range from the opposing Death Shadow.
So he's not willing to sacrifice that fetch land just yet. Picked up a copy of Thought Scour. Right now, Thompson's Death Shadow is a 10/10. Here comes Snapcaster Mage. Does Thompson have a removal spell for this?
Well, he better, or else Korey's just going to steal a game from him.
Yeah, here's a Fatal Push. So the answer is yes. Fatal Push is going to take care of the Snapcaster Mage that was looking to put Gerry down to 1. Taking a look at Gerry Thompson's creature base this weekend, 4 Death Shadow, 4 Tarmogoyf, 4 Street Wraith, and a Tasigur the Golden Fang. So no Gurmag Anglers, and maybe more importantly, no Snapcaster Mages.
Yep. Yeah, no blue in the main deck at all.
McDuffie's going to sacrifice a fetch land here. We're going to see how low Korey is willing to go. It's at least 7. And he's fingering a Blood Crypt. So he's thinking about going to 5.
And I think part of Gerry's thought process here, again with this mostly Jund Death Shadow deck, is that we see Gurmag Angler trump Tasigurs in some games, and it just seems so crucial. I think Tarmogoyf can often trump the Gurmag Anglers. So it's even bigger. It's even further up the curve there.
Well, he's certainly going to build his deck in a fashion that Tarmogoyf's going to be, I think, a 5/6, a high percentage of the time. I think that's the goal. Here's another Fatal Push from Thompson. Gerry going to very quickly untap. Does he have another removal spell to clear this Death Shadow out of the way? I guess Korey is in the abyss right now. This is a lethal.
Got to be blocking.
Yep. This is a lethal Death Shadow that Thompson's attacking with. Again, it's a 10/10. So Korey will block. Gerry will follow up with another Traverse the Uvenwald, which is basically Demonic Tutor for another copy of Death Shadow.
10/10.
Not bad.
For 1, I mean, that's kind of the going rate these days.
Yeah. It's oftentimes what you see. Sometimes what you see. Korey with a Thought Scour. A couple cards going to the graveyard. He draws a card from that. Also going to take a draw step for his turn. But can he beat these two 1-mana 10/10s? Can't believe I'm saying that. But it's the reality of the situation.
This is a format where Wild Nikata was banned.
That's correct. 1-mana 3/3. See ya.
Sometimes.
See, it's true. True.
Sometimes 1-mana 3/3.
See ya.
Too good.
Death Shadow, just hanging out.
I love looking back.
That's one of the more fun things to do.
Yeah.
It is. Here's Gurmag Angler. I think we're going to have an Angler and a Snapcaster Mage on chump blocking duty.
Yeah, Korey's just hanging on desperately. Just dug in with his fingernails here, hoping Gerry makes a little mistake and opens the window for that K command to finish off the game.
Yeah, I just find it so unlikely. That's here Snapcaster Mage, yep. Block, absolutely. Follow up, Tarmogoyf, pass it.
Another lethal creature.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have to beat all three now, Korey. Picked up a copy of Terminate. He's got that Kolaghan's Command, but 3 is not. Yeah, I like it. Get the info on the way out.
That little scouting mission.
Yeah, 2 Liliana of the Veils and a Street Wraith is what Korey will pick up information-wise on his way out the door. But he walks out the door this game a loser. Gerry Thompson going to win game number 1 here over Korey McDuffie. 4-color Death Shadow up a game here over Grixis Death Shadows. We're going to turn our attention to the sideboards. Both these players are going to kind of dig in now. And we're going to find that Korey McDuffie, since he'll be on the play, we'll start with him, has 3 Nile Spellbombs, 2 Ceremonious Rejections, 2 Stubborn Denials, 2 Collective Brutalities, 2 Teamer Battle Rage, 2 Anger of the Gods, a Liliana the Last Hope, and a Dark Betrayal. That's, of course, destroy target black creature. So you know that's coming in. But what else do you like?
Yeah, we expect the Dark Betrayal. In these matchups, we almost always see all the Nile Spellbombs come in. They're especially good against the version that Gerry's playing. And I would think that the Liliana the Last Hope is going to come in as well. Rebuying creatures is good in the mid-game. It presents a sort of a clock for your opponent in a way that doesn't just die to most removal spells. So I expect to see those cards.
Over on Thompson's side, 3 Stubborn Niles. That's why it's a 4-color deck. He's got 3 Stubborns in the sideboard, along with 3 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Nile Spellbombs of his own, 2 Ancient Grudge, a Ghost Quarter, a Kozilek's Return, a Liliana the Last Hope as well, and then a Knight of Souls Betrayal. It's an expensive way to get it done, but truth be told, most of the time Knight of Souls Betrayal is good. It's very good.
Well, and I think that's just a nod towards a lot of the Collected Company token-style decks that we see. The Death Shadow decks are pretty good at keeping up with those decks in the early game. They've got a lot of 1-for-1 removal spells. They'll almost always make it to turn 4 or 5. But then after that, looping the Collected Companies is what's really a problem for them. So Knight of Souls Betrayal is just a permanent answer that really shuts down those decks.
Not going to be good here, obviously.
No, not good here. No.
But very, very good in other matchups. What do we like here? Do we like going towards maybe Stubborn Denial after sideboard?
I don't think I'm a big fan of the Stubborn Denials after sideboard. The matchup is pretty clunky at points. It's not going to stop any of the big creatures that are problems. You don't want to just end up with a Stubborn Denial stuck in your hand during a key point in the game. I expect the Nile Spellbombs and the Liliana the Last Hope to come in, and not a whole lot of changes after that.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Korey's still doing a little work here. Gerry's already sideboarded, it looks like, but we'll give these two some time. McDuffie will be on the play here for game number 2. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale that is taking place. It ends on Monday at 10:59 a.m. But don't worry, as you're watching Modern here, it's almost like we lined it up this way. You're watching Modern, you're kind of interested in Modern cards, so you can get 15% off select Modern cards right now at go.starcitygames.com/weekly sale.
Yep.
We got Damnation, we got Polluted Delta, we got Meddling Mage, that's Chris Pakula, of course, and we've got a card that apparently no one plays anymore.
Yeah, we've just been hyping these Lightning Bolts.
It's because we're trying to get rid of them. They're on sale. Buy them all right now, please.
Please take these.
Yeah, because they're horrible right now. Go to StarCityGames.com/weekly sale for more information, as we're going to learn a little bit more about the champ. That is, of course, Gerry Thompson, 33 years old from Elk River, Minnesota.
Oh, man.
22 open top 8s, 5 open wins. I got the invitational number wrong. I thought it was 6. It's actually 7. I do know the wins. That's 2 of them. At one time, had $20,000 underneath his bed in his shoebox. It's funny. You know that's true.
It's true.
Just like I know that's true, because you were living with him in Indianapolis at the time, and I used to hang out with him every week in Indianapolis then. So that is not That is not a lie. That's 100% true.
It's not an exaggeration or
No,
anything.
not at all.
And it's a good thing he could trust all his friends.
It's very lucky for him. Enjoys starting trips to play Pokemon Go at 4 a.m. He is a big Pokemon Go player. And Jason Ford, a friend, holds the right to name his firstborn child. That is Gerry, too, who we cannot forget is the Pro Tour Amonkhet champion. We'll see him at Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. We'll also see you there as well. A couple weeks from now, you're heading over to Kyoto, Japan.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Play a little Magic. Maybe beat up old Gerry T.
That would be a sweet deal. Just like old times.
Yeah, that's it. We got Korey McDuffie. He's taking a look at the opener. It looks like Gerry and Korey are happy, and we're going to begin things here in game number 2. Polluted Delta is where Korey will begin. He's already going to fall down to 17 via Watery Grave. Getting the Death Shadow engine online, which is, of course, killing yourself.
Yeah.
To make your best card very, very good, as you saw in game number 1 from Gerry Thompson.
I feel like we're digging a hole for ourselves here with all the lightning bolt talk.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm afraid. So there's a Jeskai control deck running around.
Okay.
That runs 4 Bolt and 4 Helix, Snapcaster Maze, Spell Queller, and some counter spells, lots of card draw. And I'm afraid it's going to be doing well deep in this event, and then we're just going to have egg all over our face because we've been trash talking the lightning bolts.
Hey, lightning bolt could be a very good place to be this weekend, which is a weird thing to say, but it very well could be true. We take a look at the thoughts he's here from McDuffie. He's taking a look at Thompson's hand. Thompson did cycle a Street Wraith in response, so he should be down to 18. But a Nile Spellbomb, an Inquisition of Kozilek, a Watery Grave, along with the Traverse the Uvenwald, a Death Shadow, a Fatal Push, and the very powerful Tarfire.
Look at this hand.
It's
just some of everything.
Yeah, a little of this, a little of that.
What do you take here? I don't know, man.
The discard spell, I think.
It's potentially the discard spell. Gerry only has 1 land right now, so Korey potentially could just go after the Traverse.
Yeah.
If he tries to hamstring him that way. There's only 1 threat in this hand, so there could be an argument for taking the Death Shadow.
It's interesting, though, because he can't cast the Traverse just yet because he doesn't have any green mana, but he's going to take the Inquisition of Kozilek. Well, redraws here with the Mercia's Pobble. So Thompson's going to start things off with a Watery Grave, and now he's going to play a Nile Spellbomb.
Oh, I thought that was a fetch land. I thought we were looking at Polluted Delta there. My fault.
That's okay. That's okay. He's going to play the Bobble, pass the turn back. Doesn't look like he's going to fire the Bobble off just yet, though. Sleight of hand, the draw here from Korey McDuffie.
Yeah, and we see players do this with the Bobble, where they'll wait to use it to insulate themselves, a little protection from opposing discard spells. You're not going to draw that card until your own turn.
Here's sleight of hand now. Korey will take a look at 2 cards. He'll, of course, pick one. The other will go to the bottom of the deck. He's found a Polluted Delta. The other card's going to go downstairs. Sleight of hand is done resolving. Looks like he does have a copy of Street Wraith in hand that he could use. For now, he'll play a Delta. And Thompson wants to take a little look. Time to untap. Bobble trigger, draw a card. And draw a card for his turn. Verdant Catacombs has been added to the hand, so everything's online.
Yep, it's all a go for Gerry at this point. We see Korey just sandbagging those 3/4 Swamp Walkers for later in the game.
At least for right now. We'll see which direction he does want to go. Sometimes you got to get real grimy and cast those things. Swamp Walk can matter. It can matter.
Yeah, I mean, we joke. Those aren't going to be in his hand in a turn or two.
Unlikely. Very unlikely. Thompson's going to sacrifice a Verdant Catacombs. Take a look at the graveyard count. He's got a creature, a sorcery, an artifact, and a land, so Traverse already online. You see how easy it can be for him to turn on Delirium. Stomping Ground's the weapon of choice there for Thompson. Means that he's got all the colors of the rainbow. It is time to Traverse. See if this will resolve.
I think Wizards needs to give us a few more mana fixers.
Yeah. Mana's not good enough?
I mean, you're just so restricted on what you can play in this. You see how these players have to wait until turn 2 to have 4 different colors on the field.
That's true. Looks like he's going to go with a Death Shadow. Assuming that life total is correct, which it should be, he should be exactly at 13, so Death Shadow not exactly online just yet.
I think he has 1 more fetch land in his hand.
Yep.
So he's all set up to get there.
Sitting on the Marsh Flats.
And that's one of the trickier things about this 4-color deck is you have all these shock lands to tutor up and all these different fetch lands to go get them. And you have to be careful that you use the right fetch land to get the right shock land, or else you're going to end up in some pretty awkward situations at points.
For sure.
And Gerry he does it so fast and so smooth, you know. He's put in the reps, he knows exactly what he's doing, but when I've played this deck from time to time, I have to slow down and be careful and make sure I don't make any silly mistakes.
Yeah, this deck is a difficult one to play. You know, you're obviously, I won't say kinda, but you're very much walking the tightrope with your life total. And you do not want to get that wrong, especially when you're playing against a deck like Burn. It is so important that you get that stuff right. You have to delve appropriately if you have a lot of delve cards in your deck, so that you make sure your Snapcaster has fuel. All that stuff, that kind of adds up. The power level of the deck, through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about it.
Well, it's everything. It has reactive spells, which are great, has just spectacular threats that are all super cheap. It's very consistent because it has so much card draw. You know, it's got it going on. The whole package here.
Yeah.
It's like the Cedric Phillips of modern decks.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Has it all.
Yep.
Really does. No argument here. You can go ahead and keep that audio. Don't cut that out. We see a sleight of hand. Now we're going to see a cycling of a Street Wraith. To note, Thompson did activate Nile Spellbound to take care of Korey's graveyard. You do want to slow down those delve creatures if you can. Make them work a little harder for the Taskers and the Gurmag Anglers while drawing a card most of the time. Looks like a Fatal Push picked up here by Korey.
I think Wizards needs to give us more good removal spells.
Oh, we have a shortage of that too.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. Fatal Push just not quite good enough?
Yeah, and maybe we need some better creatures. Bigger for their mana cost.
Bigger.
Basically, all the power level just needs to be bumped up a notch.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about that play design team lately. Have you applied? have you put the resume out there?
Hey, Watts, yeah, I just have a few ideas. Let's just tweak the process here.
Yeah. You can put some finishing touches on some cards, that's all.
Listen, can we just take one off the mana cost, or maybe add 1 or 2 points of power and toughness to some cards?
That's all we're looking to do.
Yeah.
What's 1 point of power and toughness? It's just one more.
Yeah, who cares, man?
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Death Shadow is here. It appears to be a 3/3. Very much in lightning bolt range. If anyone ever played that card ever.
Yeah, no one's scared of it.
Yep.
Well, I can tell you I believe the daddy.
Kevin Jones himself.
Kevin Jones did well with the Just Guy control deck in Vegas.
It's a very Kevin Jones deck to play.
It is.
Yep.
And I would expect him to show up here with that deck again.
Yep.
He'll be teaching some lessons about why Lightning Bolt is still
totally fine.
Premium card.
Yeah. Thompson with 2 Death Shadows here, both 3/3s. McDuffie's going to search up a Watery Grave. Looks like he's going to fall down to 9 by doing so. And we'll see what the follow-up for Korey McD will be. Might be time for a Thought Scour. Could be time for a Fatal Push. That's a sorcery. No, it's not. I take it back. It's an instant. Dark Betrayal is an instant. I take that back. And now here's Thought Scour. Now, we will take a look at Dark Betrayal because it's a card that some people are not familiar with. This is also one of the reasons I played Fairies at the Grand Prix. Because it's a 1-mana answer to Tassiger and Death Shadow. And Gurmag Angler kills all of the things from Death Shadow. Well, at least Grixis Death Shadow.
Yeah.
But if players are playing Tarmogoyf like Gerry Thompson, Dark Betrayal not as good. My apologies on briefly thinking that was a sorcerer. I hope I wasn't thinking that during the Grand Prix. That would be embarrassing. I don't remember if I was. It just would be embarrassing if I did. Thompson going to cycle a Street Wraith in response to this Thoughtseize. Just wants a new card in the face of the Thoughtseize, I guess.
Yeah, that's so funny to me. I mean, it's definitely the right play if Jerry's doing it, but it's still just funny watching it happen.
I want to draw something good.
It wasn't even that. He just wanted to be at 2 less life.
Also, yeah.
He was just like, hey, man, can I get to less life as soon as possible?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because he picked up a copy of Tarmogoyf off the cycle, so maybe he shouldn't have.
It was a dagger.
Yeah.
Picking up a threat there.
Fatal Push and Tarfire, I believe, are the cards left there. That Death Shadow, I'm not sure how long that's going to live. It looks like McDuffie has at least 1 Fatal Push, potentially 2 in the grip.
Yep.
There is a Fatal Push. See you later.
And it looks like a Collective Brutality. Is that what's in Korey's hand?
I believe it's either that or Liliana the Last Hope. We'll find out here probably on the next turn.
I'm a little surprised to see that card come in after board.
Well, there's Liliana the Veil. Timely top deck there for Thompson. Elevator going up on that card. It's time for each player to discard.
Yeah, that was a really good draw for him. It feels like Gerry has been a little ahead most of this game. He had a couple of Death Shadows on the board. Korey doesn't have any threats right now, and this Liliana is just keeping him ahead.
Korey going to discard a land here. Well, Korey has the advantage in regards to number of cards in hand right now.
Yep.
But Thompson has the best card in the battlefield in Liliana. It's going to answer threats that do come in Tasker and Death Shadow and so on and so forth. And if those don't ever come, we might see a Liliana Ultimate.
Yeah, and Liliana is very difficult to answer for the Grixis Death Shadow deck.
There's an Isle Spellbound. That'll clean up the graveyards, of course. It'll also slow down Snapcaster Mage, which is important. And Korey has had some difficulty with regards to Tassiger and Grimag Angler. He hasn't had one in his hand, but Gerry's done a nice job of going after the graveyard this game. He's going to get a lot of cards here, and he's going to pick up a copy of Death Shadow.
There's a big payoff.
Now, interesting decision here if he's willing to push up. Ooh, Korey discarded a Fatal Push. Thompson's going to play a Death Shadow.
Oh.
Well, well, well. Looks like Korey might have a third Fatal Push in hand, so that may not have been too backbreaking.
Yeah, it looked like he drew it this turn.
Well, there is Fatal Push.
But that Liliana's still there just doing its thing.
Mm-hmm. And if that is a Collective Brutality, which I have a reason to believe that it is, it's been pretty bad this game, correct?
Yeah, it's been very mediocre. It's never going to kill anything. It's too expensive to be a good duress effect in this matchup. Like I said, I'm a little surprised that it came in after board here.
It's a little too, what's the word? The word, I think, maybe conditional.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be right place, right time for it to be good. And I'm not sure how good it can be because it is an expensive discard effect.
Yeah, and we see matchups where all the modes are really strong in certain matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a matchup where only one mode is usually good. There are, corner situations where drain 2, gain 2 could steal a game, but I don't really want cards in my deck where I'm like, maybe this outside shot of stealing the game will come up. I want cards that are going to be good every single time I draw them.
Especially when the power level of each deck is very high.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that all the cards in the matchup have a very high power level. And Collective Brutality is a very powerful card, but as you mentioned, the duress effect is the best effect here, the discard effect. And right now, it doesn't seem particularly good.
Did Gerry not tick up last turn? It looked like he had a card he wanted to hang on to.
I believe he did not tick up. I think he is holding steady here with some goodies. But now we're going up, it looks like. He's ready to discard. Thoughtseiz's down. Dismember down. Here's Tarmogoyf. Collective Brutality that. ain't gonna happen.
It's probably a sizable creature.
We'll get a Tarmodie out here along with the sizing in just a moment.
Ooh, Tarmodie. I've heard good things.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are pretty nice. Terminate and a Swamp are going to go to the graveyard. A Steam Vent's the draw. The follow-up here from McDuffie is a Collective Brutality. And I think that's just for a little drain and a little gain. Nothing exciting about that.
Well, it looked like he drew. Did he draw a second one?
I believe so. You see the life totals here, 4 to 9. Korey had to gain some life, so he just basically doesn't effectively die.
Yep.
He's very close to being dead. They're going to do, I think, a check here for types. Instant, creature, tribal artifact, land. So that's at least a 5/6. We're on the hunt here for a sorcery, which we have plenty of in Traverse. And we're going to make it a Planeswalker now. Making Tarmogoyf into a 6/7. Gerry's going to split these. And I'm going to Tarfire you. and I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, it went to a 7-8. Yeah.
And that's that. Gerry Thompson going to win this game and match over Korey McDuffie. 2-0. 4-color Death Shadow. Going to knock down Grixis Death Shadow. And for the Pro Tour Omnicat champion, it's a beautiful start.